All right, what's up, guys? How you doing? Here we are with our uh, additional episode of Movers and Shakers Unlimited of our special edition episodes for SDCC Peeps. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, and today we're doing a special edition episode that was supposed to air yesterday, but just by an unforeseen emergency, we're actually going to have it carry on right now. So give me a moment while I introduce two of our guests that will be joining us for this special edition episode. All right, so we have Patrick Michael Strange. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good, good. Thank you for having me, Brandon. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Let me get my next guest on here. Mr. Pea, Michael P. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm getting a little echo. That's why I'm hesitating because I'm getting this echo. Okay, so
yeah,
no worries,
it's all
man.
good. It's all good.
No worries. So welcome to this, as I said, special edition episode. Fortunately, we weren't able to do it yesterday, but thank you guys for being flexible and coming back because I wanted to have you guys on for this edition of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. As I said, SDCC Peeps. For those out there, just a long story short, for SDCC Peeps is here to commemorate all the folks that I'm fortunate enough to hang out with over the course of the week of Comic-Con. And as I said, one reason why I say fortunate is because we have the people that we've had on the show do some pretty impressive things. They come from all walks of life, whether they are fellow journalists, whether they are in the industry as directors, as actors, as composers, as artists in the comic industry, creators, what have you. They do it all. So with all that being said, introducing each of my compadres here. Both of them are fellow journalists. They freelance for a number of different outlets. So I'll pass it on to you guys if you guys want to talk further on each of those outlets that you write for and provide content for.
All right, I guess I'll kick it off real quick.
Let your other guys go first.
I didn't hear that. Well, first off, if I sound like I'm farting, I'm not actually eating beans or anything. One of my guys with a part of my crew with
Brandon,
the
I can't hear
NRW,
him.
they said when I did, yeah. So you having audio problems?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second, gentlemen.
No worries, no worries.
All right.
Or see him.
So,
Yeah.
so Mike, are you good to go? Are you able to hear okay?
No, I can hear you fine, but I can't hear him, and I can't see him. Yeah.
Okay, so just reset your window, okay, and just come back on for us, okay? All right, but go ahead, Pat.
All right, no worries. But as I was saying, when I would talk after I would say something, when I was trying to record with some of my NRW folks, they said it sounded like a fart was coming, and that wasn't me. I didn't have no beans. So hopefully next go around, if I get to be on this show again with you, Brandon, I didn't shame you enough by talking about farting.
No, you good.
I'll have a new mic in place to cover up any fart sound to take that away from you. So anyway, thanks for having me, man. I feel like a rookie of the year right now because I'm actually was a San Diego Comic-Con rookie up until last year. I had shied away from doing it when I had many of the opportunity previously. Because just for many different reasons, I wanted to come as an actor there. I wanted to come as a producer there until my Nerds of Color fan was like, man, bro, it's the 50th. You need to come. And because of now 2020, I'm so very thankful I had that San Diego Comic-Con experience last year. And so it was just an amazing show. I'm a Comic-Con vet of, East Coast and other conventions, but San Diego was the big one that I hadn't done yet and was very thankful to be there. So thank you for including me as part of your SDCC Peeps, bro. So that was kind of like a weird thing I was a rookie when I did it. So I appreciate that. But as I stated, I'm with the Nerds of Color, where we spotlight pop culture in the perspective of the POC, which is the makeup of the Nerds of Color. So, we want to highlight our representation within the pop culture sphere with the Nerds of Color. I also run the NRW, which was birthed from New Release Wednesday, a show that I did locally for comic book shops in the DC metropolitan area, where I would talk about their new releases and all the things that would come to the shop. But then that kind of spawned into doing much like what you do with Movers and Shakers, my friend. I checked out a lot of your stuff. I wasn't familiar with your stuff until I met you, Troy, Brandon Troy. And then I was like, man, this man doing the same thing, but he's like really pumping it. And, I need to catch up with my man. And I've been doing it actually longer than you. And I'm like, bro, I got to catch up. So I should take some pointers from you sometime, man. But I've been a producer, director, publisher in this area for a long time. I used to write and produce comic books. Used to manage a studio where we did work with Image, Top Cow, everybody. Used to be art director for Anime USA. I did Wakamikan with my buddy Keith and Uraeus with Black Heroes Matter and Blur Girl. That was very successful after what happened with that one show that shall not be named that was supposed to happen in Baltimore. But we brought the people together for Wakamikan for that. But I've been just very blessed to take what I love and to meet the people that I idolize and enjoy, and to form those relationships and bonds, and meet a cool brother like you, Brandon, and now to meet my man Michael, who I can't wait to hear your story. And it's just a good time, and it's this community which I love being a part of. And I was down and out because of this whole COVID thing, but to now speak with people like you guys, man, it's heartwarming because it's what I love and I feel it and it gives me energy. I'm vibing. So I think I'm done. I'm gonna pass the mic to my man Michael now that he's back on.
Oh my God, with a lead in like that. All right, now Troy, I can't hear now. Brandon, I can't hear you now. I can't hear you now. So I can hear him, but I can't hear you now. So do I go out and come in again?
Oh, I can't even hear Brandon now either.
Okay,
I can hear you, Michael, but faintly.
All right, you can hear me? All right. I've got this earphone. I don't know if that's working, but I can't hear Brandon. So you can't hear Brandon either, but you can hear me?
I can't hear Brandon at all. I can hear you, though.
Okay.
You're good, guys. You're good.
Oh, there's Brandon.
Go for it.
All right, now you're back. All right. Yeah. You know what? I'm so outclassed here. I feel bad. You guys are doing so much. I just write for the blog site. I mean, I do write articles for a couple other sites, but those articles I write for the other sites, the blog site I write for is Friends of Comic Con, okay? And so it's a big forum, a lot of people, and it's just fans of Comic Con. I mean, and all the Comic Cons. And so I've been to a lot of Comic Cons, and Brandon knows this. I think, Brandon, did we meet up at, was it C2E2 at one time?
No, we believe it or not, and our for each of you, I was going to say for you, I actually met at Comic-Con in 2016, but it was in passing because that was the year that Leonard did that like large show out of a hotel room. We met in passing there, but like actually getting to know each other, I want to say it was Dragon Con 2016.
Was it Dragon Con?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I thought. So you weren't at C2E2?
I mean, I was, but I feel like in terms of, I still feel it was in passing, where it was like, oh, hey, how you doing? And versus actually physically hanging out. So
okay, I thought we actually
but I don't count them.
Okay, I thought we docked a lot more than so yeah. So the forum is kind of like a clearinghouse for all the things Comic-Con, all the different Comic-Cons. And when I write for another site, it usually has to do with the Expanse. So as you can probably tell by my hat and my T-shirt, I'm an Expanse fan, okay? And so yeah, I am like, and Brandon knows this. I am like crazy fan. I have the designation of an Uber fan. No, seriously, it gets to the point now where if the showrunners and the writers actually know me by sight, and they'll actually go, "Hey, Mike, what's up?" So I love that. But anyway, but seriously though, no, this has been great being able to do the Comic Cons, and I mean the people you meet, as you said earlier. Good Lord, the talent we get to interact with is just phenomenal, and I just hope it rubs off on me a little bit because just the sheer the energy. The intellect, just you don't know who you're going to talk to. You're standing in line. I can tell you this. One time I was standing in line at Comic-Con. I met these kids and I call them kids because they're very young. I mean, they're under 30. To me, they're kids. Okay, I'm sorry, they're the kids. Okay, they're under 30. And I'm chatting with them, and it turns out they flew to San Diego in a private jet.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah.
You don't
That
know
serious?
Yeah, you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know who you're going to talk to. One point you're talking to somebody who wrote, your favorite comic book that you ever read in your life. The next moment you talk to an actor in your favorite show. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's what's the best thing about Comic-Con. You meet so many extraordinary people. And if you're really lucky, you meet them before they become famous. And you get to know them, and they remember you later on too, because you help, you kind of push them, just recognizing their talent. Sometimes they just need that. Okay, so that's just me.
Completely agree.
I was gonna say two things on that. I realized that, Mike, I didn't talk about how we met, and then I'll jump back to what you're talking about real quick. Mike, is Patrick, believe it or not, we've had this conversation before, I feel, but we were in each other's orbit for a while, because I remember at prior shows, seeing some of the content that you were putting out there, and saying, and my colleague, I don't know if you know, I think you guys mutual friends. So Jerome Bourgeois, fellow co-creator. My fellow co-creator. So he knows you, and he would always, reference, "Oh, Patrick." And I was like, I've seen this dude before, but like we haven't actually met.
And I don't think I've ever met Jerome. I might have met Jerome. I don't know. You meet a lot of people.
Right, so, exactly. So like meeting a lot of people in passing, but I'm just saying, like, the hilarious thing is that we were in each other's, because the community that we have with podcasting and journalism, all of those types of things, it's relatively small. You'd be surprised who knows who.
Very true. That's why you got never burn a bridge. Watch what you say.
Right. But yeah, like in the DC metropolitan area, like a lot of us know each other, and you'd be surprised who knows who. And we were in each other's orbit. So like a lot of times if there was a show, like I would see a lot of your stuff, and I was like, who is this guy? Or I remember in instances where like I would just finish like an interview and doing, you know how this goes at conventions, doing a lot of guerrilla interviewing. I would see a lot of faces that were regulars, and I feel like you were one of the regulars, especially at like Awesome Con and some of the local shows that we.
I would say Awesome Con might have been where we first met. I'm not sure, but I don't know.
It was. I want to say it was Baltimore officially.
Okay.
Baltimore, okay. But yeah, just the thing, just like you were saying, Michael, it's amazing who you meet and what circumstances happen that brings you into contact with various people. Because even in the case of doing these special edition episodes and thinking about how I came to know a lot of you guys that now I consider like con fam, like con friends, however you want to coin it. There have been a lot of cases where it was just fortuitous that we met, and it could have not have happened in any other situation. Like, give me an example, and they were on earlier today for these episodes. Emily and Adrian, like we met at a Comic-Con party a couple of years ago. But at that Comic-Con party, just to give you a kind of a background history of that party, I was actually going to that party with a couple of friends of mine who actually came from back home, and this was their first Comic-Con. And I was kind of like showing them the ropes of not only Comic-Con, but also of what, the Comic-Con after parties have to offer, the nightlife, so on and so forth. And so, I had done the legwork of making sure that I had enough tickets to get into this party. And I guess wires got crossed. I was trying to get them into the party, and I also had some additional friends. You guys may know him. So Blake Neely, who's a composer of, I don't want to name drop, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But Blake Neely, who composes like all the CW superhero shows, Daniel Chan, he was on here. yesterday. Nathan Cherie, who now she was working on a lot of those shows, but she provides a lot of her talents as a composer for Batwoman these days. I wanted to help them get into this event too, but like I said, some wires got crossed, and they were only able to get a couple of us in. Like the promoter was only able to get a couple of us in, so I was just because they weren't gonna get all of us in, I was just gonna leave and hang out with them. But Blake was like, you know what, man, you put all this like effort, to make sure all of us had a good time. Why don't you just go and we'll hang out and pick it like another time and rendezvous some other way. And had I not gone to that party, I would have never likely met Adrian or Emily, because that was the night that we all met at that party. And I almost didn't go to that party. So I mean, there have been a lot of instances of that where you go to certain events, or you're meant to connect at a certain event that you can't foresee, but when you look back at it, you're like, wow, we almost didn't meet because X, Y, and Z could have happened that prevented us from actually crossing paths. Because Emily, and this is also a funny aspect of that, Emily is actually here in the area, so it's weird that in a lot of cases of a lot of these folks that I've had on these special edition episodes that are here in the metropolitan area, Patrick.
Yep.
We live like a half an hour, if that, from each other. We have never met until we did Comic-Con, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, but be that as it may, talking about this year, it being a virtual show, Comic-Con at Home, have you guys put together an itinerary, since they did, just like they would in any other year? They assembled a schedule just like they normally would 2 weeks out, so people would have an idea of what to expect. Have you guys put together an itinerary? And if so, did you check out any of the programming today?
Yes and yes. Do you mind if I go first, Patrick?
Please.
Oh, the answer is yes and yes. And in fact, I was just looking at The Boys before. That's the reason why I was running about a minute late, because I was watching The Boys panel, and they've renewed it for a third season. Big surprise there. That thing is so popular and so crazy. But one of the things I noticed, the good thing is that they're putting all this stuff up on YouTube. They've planned this ahead of time. The fact that they planned this ahead of time, it tells me that Comic-Con, before they canceled, this is one of the things that Comic-Con was working on, to get these panels to do this live stuff. Because there's no way excuse my language, but there's no way in hell this stuff could have happened unless they planned it way in advance. And so they've been working on this for a while. And I'm assuming, we haven't heard yet, but I'm assuming they're going to do the same for New York Comic-Con. Because I don't think any of us believe that New York Comic-Con is going to happen. I mean, not physically where we're physically there. Okay, I don't think any of us believe that. But these panels, some of the panels have been laugh out loud funny. They've been really, really good. So I think in the sense that if this had been live, there were so many panels remember that there are 5 panels you want to go to at any one time. Remember that?
And they all conflict. Yeah.
Right. But the good thing is this year they're all taped. We can go to YouTube and watch them later. And so that's the good part about it. But the part we all miss is that energy, the energy of being there, right? It's just like, and the audience laughing. It's like when you go to a movie, and we're all there sitting there and everybody yells and screams and yells at the screen at the same time, or laughs or whatever. That's important. And so I think that's what we're missing from Comic-Con. But I think in terms of the quality of some of the panels, I think the quality is still there. We don't have the major studios because they're going to do their own thing, blah, 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 major studios. But the panels that they're having there are really, they're top notch. The questions, the interviewers. I watched a panel today with the directors, with 3 directors. I think Robert Rodriguez was one of the directors. I mean,
I was just watching that with Frosty Wantrip from Collider. Yeah.
And I mean, that was a great panel. I love hearing from the creative behind the scenes people, because they tell you stuff that you just don't know, and that I personally, I love it because I love hearing from the writers, the producers, the showrunners. Say, for instance, Manifest interviewed the Jeff Rake from Manifest. What he said was the most interesting thing that I loved. He said, "I've got it mapped out through 5 seasons. I know how the series ends. If we do 5 seasons, I will give you a complete story. Unlike another story, we won't mention them, Lost, who got lost, right? But no, but that's the wonderful part about it, and being able to talk to those people and know that they do have a vision. Okay, so
love it. Yeah. For me, yes, I was aware that they're, the changeover, obviously for obvious reasons, and I love that they are futurists and looked ahead to set this up for us. But I didn't put a schedule together. But I saw that within our Nerds of Color group, that a couple people posted, "Hey, if you have a panel or we're doing something, post it to this thread." So now I can kind of channel to what some of my other people within the Not group are doing, and just go there and kind of click there and do that. But I've just been kind of taking my time, with everything going on. But I love the fact that they did this. And but yeah, it's that human element that still is kind of sore. And I'm kind of, trying to work my way out of it, because that's the part of it that's that missing connection that you really feel. And that's what I want to experience it with the people. But because we can't, I can now do it at my leisure, and it's gonna be cool. We're gonna have next year when we're a better time, and I'd rather wait. I'm not trying to say I would like to have it happen. No, we need to get a cure, we need a vaccine, and then we'll do it again.
can I throw this out real quick? One of the things that happened in the Star Trek universe panel, I don't know, did you watch that, Brandon?
I did, yes.
Yeah. What I loved about that is that they did that plea for money for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and I, of course, you know what, because Star Trek asked me, I have to give them money, So I just want to throw that out there too, because that's a wonderful thing. And I love them for stepping up to the plate, because that is Star Trek. Because I'm one of the, I watched Star Trek. I'm going to, my age is going to show up here. Okay. I'm just, all right, get ready. Nobody faint. And yeah, I have my walker right here, and I have my inhaler, and my nurse is over. She's standing over behind the door over there. Okay. So I'll be fine. But we watched the original, my family watched the original Star Trek together, the original Star Trek, because my father loves science fiction. He got us all watching science fiction, and so Star Trek, it continues, it continues that vision that they had many decades ago, and them doing that is just, I want to give them a shout out, because that is just incredible, and I thought that was wonderful.
Beautiful.
I was gonna say, definitely, it's been great to check out a lot of the programming and not, as you said, deal with the stress of trying to decide of which one I'm gonna go to, and if I go to this one, how much time, effort am I dedicating to get into it? Because even for those of you that are not familiar with how Comic-Con works, there's a line for attendees, but even if you go as a member of the press, you still waiting in line. You have the option of waiting in line with attendees, but even for the press line, you will be standing in the press pit if you decide to go into the press line. So that's its whole other logistical thing. And once you leave from that press pit, you have to get back into the media line and get back into the panel room. So it's all these logistical pieces that you have to consider, and it's not even including the idea that, oh, by the way, there's a press room that I'm going to be involved in. Oh, by the way, there's a one-on-one interview that I'm doing about a mile away at a hotel. And mind you, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, boohoo, cry me a river."
First world problems.
I know, boohoo, cry me a river. But it is. I mean, it's a real thing, especially if
you gotta love it.
I was gonna say, even if you are coming as a team, you're lugging around a lot of that equipment to rush to get to that next spot. I can't tell you how many times I've been in because I try to, me and my colleague, we try to find, and it's just based on the time of doing Comic-Con, after a while, trying to find a balance of what you want to do as a fan for you and what you want to do for the content that you want to provide. Because I've been on both sides of it. When I first started going to Comic-Con, I started going as a fan, as an attendee, and then it transitioned, and eventually after a couple of years into being a member of the press. So I still have to I still try to strike that balance, and it's not a easy thing. Like sometimes there's a real conflict that happens where it's like, I want to go to this as a fan, but I might not get an opportunity to speak with this one person that this time I'm actually getting the opportunity to speak with. When will it be another opportunity to speak with this one specific guest? So I kind of have to bite the bullet and miss out on a couple of things just for the sake of having that particular opportunity. And there have been plenty of times of that where I've been in Hall H and left a panel midway during the programming day just to make sure that I made it to that press room or made it to that one-on-one time with that particular guest. So many logistical things that come into play, and with this virtual edition, that's not necessarily the case. Where it's been an interesting day because I've seen I've seen most of the things that I've had on my itinerary today. I haven't seen all of it, but had I gone live, there would have been things that I would have missed, and I'm not going to have that problem now. I have pretty much the whole day to decide, okay, I'm going to take a break for half an hour, and then I'm going to go back into the program. Like I don't have that. You don't have that luxury if you're doing it in person.
Or else, better yet, though, the nice thing about this virtual is that, later in the evening, you can have an adult beverage and watch whatever panel you want to watch at that point, right? And enjoy yourself with that delicious adult beverage. But the thing I do miss, though, are the parties. But let me throw this out. Comic-Con, it was my second year at Comic-Con, and one of the most extraordinary things happened. I don't know, do you guys remember that TV show Eureka that was on Sci-Fi Channel? Yeah, well, the panel, the stars from Eureka drove around the Gaslamp district in an ice cream truck, handing out ice cream cones to the fans. I've got pictures of this, and Sally Richardson. I mean, have you guys ever met her? I'm going to throw out names here, right? Yeah, that woman. First of all, she's a beautiful woman, just absolutely gorgeous woman, and she's a wonderful human being too. And Joe, and Joe Morgan, was it? Yeah, Joe Morgan. I was, because I always forget people's names, except obviously Sally Richardson. So that tells you something right there. But I mean, they were wonderful. The entire cast, they were incredible. But you could only Comic-Con does something like that happen, and it's just incredible. I mean, that's just as a fan, and as press. I mean, look, we've all interviewed people, and if you interview the person of your favorite show, it's like, can you hold yourself together? Because you love that show and you love the characters, and so I don't need to show my hat anymore because we all know what show I love, right? But it's just been meeting them and having a chance to chat with them, the showrunner, the writers, only at Comic-Con. It's like it's so unique and so wonderful, but the fans get to have it too. You get invited to the parties. I got to hang out. Keep telling Brandon I need to hang out with him because he gets to go to the good parties. Okay, I just go to this. I go to the second grade parties. Okay, and he goes to the top grade parties. So I keep telling him I got to hang out with him. Okay, we got to all hang out together because we got to hang out with him because he'll get us into the good parties. Okay, so that's the deal. But but seriously though, you never know who you're going to meet there too, and so you have a chance just to chat with people when they're all very comfortable. So Comic-Con it is absolutely unique. I know, Brandon, you've been to New York Comic-Con too, right?
I have, yeah.
It's not San Diego, because all of San Diego becomes Comic-Con. All of downtown San Diego is Comic-Con. New York Comic-Con, New York couldn't care less that you're there. Seriously, it's New York. They go like, oh, well, Comic-Con, but they're going about their business, But San Diego, everybody, the grocery stores, the drug stores, everything is all Comic-Con. Everything is Comic-Con in San Diego during Comic-Con. And, it's unique.
I was gonna say, in a weird way, it's almost, and you describing that way, it's almost like going back to school, where like, so if you're thinking of undergrad or a college experience, or maybe you went to a boarding school, whatever the case may be, where you're in a college where it's in a small town and everything centers around that place. It's very much like that, because in the same way, there are folks that you're not going to see outside of that one finite amount of time. Similar to what you have in school. Mind you, it's even more finite. It's not over a course of 9 to 10 months. You just have it within that week. But there's definitely something to be said about that, and how unique it is to, just by happen chance, like I said, running into random folks. I was just talking about it in the prior episode that was on just now, and talking about, I remembering in my first year, it was a couple episodes ago, but remembering in my first year that, I was fortunate, and who can say that? Like, I was fortunate to meet Joss Whedon and have a conversation with Joss Whedon my first year at Comic-Con. Like, I will never forget that. It was on the hall floor when they were still doing Dollhouse at the time. Meeting Clive Barker, like, the horror icon, Clive Barker. That was cool. Also, because I love all of those films, Hellraiser, all those films. I'm a big horror guy. I love horror. So and don't get me wrong, I've been to various cons. I've been to all types of cons, and I enjoy all of them. But there, like you were saying, there is something to be said about San Diego, and that with that show, and I would say the only other show that I can think of that in some respects have been replicated in the times that I've gone, is like perhaps like Dragon Con, where there isn't as much of a separation between the guests and the fans, where it's the veil is relatively thin, and it's very easy to be able to be able to interact with a lot of the guests, surprisingly more so than you would expect. Right. And run into guests more so than you would expect in just a normal circumstance that you wouldn't even think of.
I have a question for Patrick. Now, Patrick, have you been to Dragon Con?
That is the next show on my list that I have not been. The two big shows were actually San Diego Comic-Con up until last year, and Dragon Con. So Dragon Con is still on the bucket list. I have not been, and I run a cosplay charity, which is the most hilarious thing. That people are like, man, you run a cosplay charity and you've never been to Dragon Con? I'm like, I know. I was waiting for the right moment, and so for shame.
Are you in the DC area?
I am, and I used to live in South Carolina. Right there is Atlanta.
Yeah.
I've been to Freaknik though when I was a kid, but.
Yeah, but they got the cheap, they got the cheap flights. I mean,
True.
From the
from
Baltimore down there, so so.
I've had rooms, I had friends, I've had the connections. I just didn't do it yet. I didn't pull the trigger.
You just I mean, because it's way different. And then let's face it, the food down there is so delicious, dude. Come on. Oh my god, the food down there is so good. All right, I know. I had to mention it because the food is so good down there.
It's all good, man. I'm a foodie, man. I love my San Diego food. I miss my go-to spots in San Diego that I have to hit. I saw that memory that you put up about the Richard Pancake House.
Oh my god,
I go there every year.
We got to meet for breakfast, guys. Okay, we always do breakfast. But 6:30 in the morning, because you got to get up early to get in there. So you
otherwise the line is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. And so look, we've got to do it one day. Richard Walker at Pancake House. I think by next year, I think things will be back to pretty much the normal. I think we're gonna have a vaccine and stuff like that. So we should plan. Meet one day at one of the days, and I can introduce you to some of my friends and stuff like my friend Tina. Cool. She lives in the DC area, so I need to introduce you guys to her. Okay. So
all right, there you go. See, like I said, it's a constant thing. It's constant networking, meeting folks, which is awesome about Comic-Con. But beautiful. Guys, I realized that I skipped over this. We didn't talk about what your first Comic-Con was. I know you kind of touched on it just now, Patrick, with this this past year, but Michael, you didn't talk about it either.
Well, like very first con or first San Diego?
So first San Diego Comic-Con and your best memory. So last year was my first San Diego. Yeah, your best memory of that first Comic-Con. So I tell you what, Michael, why don't you go?
All right, I can go first. I can go first because I know it was 2007. And some friends of mine, they've been after me to go to Comic-Con for the longest time because they went to like Star Trek conventions and stuff like that. So they've been after me for the longest time. So I finally decided to go. So we went. We were at dinner. We were having dinner at the Hard Rock restaurant, in the Hard Rock hotel. And my friend, she pokes me. She goes like, "Look over there." And it was Deborah Ann Vole from True Blood, right? She was a vampire Jessica, and so they said, well, talk to her, and I go like, no. They said, talk to her, so I go like, hi, and she said, and actually, what actually happened is she looked over, she saw we were talking, she said, well, hi, she says to me, hi, and I go like, blah blah blah. I literally went blah blah blah, and she says, and I went, she says, would you like a picture? I go like, huh? I swear I did. I went, huh? It was so stupid. She says, that's all right. She says, she grabbed my arm. She says, that's all right. What's your name? I swear, I was the idiot child. I was the idiot child. And she was so gracious. She said, here, well, let's get a picture together. I said, what? And she said, come on, we're going to get a picture together. And so one of her friends who was there with her, and I swear to God, the man was I'm not kidding. He was legally blind, and he took a picture of us, and he took a wonderful picture of us. And I swear she was the most gracious person ever. And that was my first year at Comic-Con, and that set my whole feeling for Comic-Con. And then, like the next year, I told you where the cast of Eureka was driving around in an ice cream truck, giving out free ice cream. And then, it built from there. We had conversations with the cause. Remember those? Oh my God, those are wonderful. It's just, Comic-Con has just been, for a person who's been a nerd all their life, excuse me, let me correct myself, a blurred all their life, right? So it's been wonderful. It's been a dream come true, and it's been extraordinary. Every year has been, I was at the World Science Fiction. It was the Star Trek Beyond world premiere. Were you there? That was awesome.
I was. I remember when they had it outside and they had a live orchestra. I was there. Yeah.
Wasn't that not awesome? But 4 rows behind me was Jeff Bezos. Literally, the richest man in the world was sitting 4 rows behind me. Now, the most extraordinary thing about that was nobody recognized him. I was the only person. I said, I kept bumping people. You know who that is? You know who that is? They look at him and they're like, no. I said, that's the friggin' richest man in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He was there with his family, and they were sitting up there like they were going to the movie theater. They had their popcorn, and they were eating their popcorn like everybody else. That's Comic-Con. I mean, every memory you could drop. It's like every time you think of one memory, there's another one, and then there's another one, and then there's another one, and so Patrick, you got to get going here because you're behind.
And that's what I've been trying to framework. Like, what should I say? And actually, because I'm kind of an old guy like you as well, I actually had to go to my Instagram yesterday when I was trying to prep myself when we were planning to shoot yesterday. I was like, now let me scroll through my Instagram and through my Facebook to kind of look at some of the pictures. And I was like, oh, wow, the Blurred and Bougie party with all the Blurreds and the cast of CW. Basically, everybody of color was on that yacht, and we were, chilling there and partying. And then the Vanity Fair party with the Cobra Kai cast. And, but really, this is going to sound sappy, but it's all the friends that I've known throughout the years and saying, hey, man, here we are at Comic-Con, and just linking up again. It's that continued relationship that, because we live in, wherever we live, but you get together when you're at that convention and you you catch up and just that camaraderie. That was a beautiful thing. So that's always going to be the memory that I always take with me because it continues and it's that kinship. But I will say I have a friend years ago. I was in the military after I got out of high school. I didn't go immediately to college, But a friend who went in with me, he's my best man. He was the best man at my wedding. He's stationed in San Diego. He actually came out with his son to take him to his first Comic-Con. And I got to bring them and walk them around with me a little bit and introduce them to some of the people that I knew. So they got to have that little bit of a inside experience that I get. And so to be able to share that with them, I'll say that's my most special memory from last year. My first San Diego Comic-Con was to have them feel that. But just a lot of amazing memories, a lot of just continued, experiences with these celebrities that you think are one way and the other, and you form that bond and they remember you. Like Takei, I've met George Takei several times, and I'm friends with Sulu. Like Brad knows me well, and it's awesome. So yeah.
they see you and they come over and they want to chat with you. That's the thing. They just really want to know what's happening in the world that sometimes they're a little bit disconnected from. Yeah. Actually, too, and the other thing is I posted that picture. I don't know if you saw it or not, Brandon, but my first Comic-Con, they were still building the Hilton Bayfront.
Wow.
They were building it then. Yeah. And it's hard to believe now because it's such, we take it for granted, but it was not there in 2007. Yeah, they were building it.
I was going to say, it's funny that you bring that up because in having other friends here on these episodes of SDCC Peeps and them talking about their first Comic-Con, and there have only been a handful that have been going longer than I have. You are among that select few, Michael. And talking about certain things that they remember from their first con or first San Diego Comic-Con, and expressing to them some things that they were describing that have long since evolved in terms of how the show is executed. So I know one person was talking about, I remember that the lines being, super crazy, and you just had to camp out. And this, mind you, the year that they provided, this was before we had the wristbands. The wristbands weren't always around for Hall H. You just had to kind of like get lucky, get in line, and hope that there was enough that you didn't cap off the amount of people that could fit into Hall H. I remember another person was talking about just the idea of how crazy it is to get tickets. And I was telling them, well, my first year going to Comic-Con, I got a ticket in June going to the Comic-Con website. So, and also I think in another example, a person was talking about how involved it was to do a Comic-Con purchase group. And I was like, I remember a time where that year, and it was, you probably remember this too, Michael, when I want to say this was 2010, right before the 2010 show. That was when the website crashed, and that's when they decided to start using Epic to help with the traffic for folks that were trying to get tickets as attendees. And then it used to just be the one sale. You didn't have the pre-registration and then the open registration. It just used to be a free-for-all. You just had the one sale. That was it.
Let me tell you, my first year at Comic-Con, my friends, I told you about my two friends who got me to go there, Mel and Gayleen. They were the ones who convinced me. They said, well, you know what? You should buy your tickets for next year while you're there. So you literally walked up, picked up your badge, then you walked over to the other line, and you bought your ticket for the next year. It was just that friggin' simple. It was just that simple. And then it just changed after that, and then you had to stand in a long line, and then it got crazy. And now we're at the point where we just thank God we get press, and then maybe we might get press, then maybe we might not get enough slots, and then then your venue has to give you the slot. But in your case, it's your venue, so you get the slots, and so.
Like I said, all these caveats. But with that being said, I know, Patrick, you were commenting on it just now, since you're in a unique position, since last year was your first Comic-Con. I'm assuming that for what I'm about to ask next, with the best Comic-Con memory, what you provided fell into that category, unless you have something else that actually supersedes those.
Actually, yeah, when you were talking to, I actually remember too that I should point out, because I'm part of the Nerds of Color. Since I finally made it last year, there were two events that that I finally attended last year that we've been organizing for a while. Which one was the Black Heroes Matter meetup with my boy Urias that does that along with David Walker. I finally attended that last year, and that was just an amazing experience. And having BET come out to cover that was even more special. And then the Rally for Rose that we did for support of Rose of Star Wars, if you're familiar with her character, to have Vanity Fair and Esquire come to watch us march along the boardwalk was pretty fun. So great to be a part of that when I've helped kind of support it online, but then to finally be there with the rest of the team was a beautiful thing. So shout out to my Nerds of Color fam.
Definitely. Mike, out of the shows that you had, you said that it's trekked back all the way to 2007. So in that block of time between then and now, what would you say is that favorite memory?
All right, this actually happened. I shouldn't tell you guys this one, but this actually happened. I used to live in San Diego, and I lived in a very nice condo there. Okay, and I think Brandon, you've heard this story.
I'm intrigued.
So go ahead.
A friend and I were at the it was a nerd HQ party, and we were sitting there. We were having a drink there, and we were complaining because we said they weren't making adult beverages. We said, "Oh my God, who are they making these for? Children or something?" And so this one woman heard us talking, so she grabbed us, and she's a friend now. Well, it turns out that she was the event director for the Children's Museum. So she grabbed us and says, "Well, come on, just follow me." She took us all behind the scenes and back there. She took us back to where the stars were. They because they had a separate bar and they were making them real drinks back there. She says, "Don't just pretend like you belong here." And so we just pretended like we were these Hollywood producers, right? And so we were pretending like we're Hollywood producers and just standing around, just chatting with everybody. We just kept chatting among ourselves, and then people would come over and talk to us, right? Or we would chat with some people about something, and that was so much fun. And that was a great party because, like I said, now they started pouring real adult beverages at that point, and oh my God, we had the best time. It's a lot more fun when you're back there with the party group as opposed to with everyone else. I know that sounds really elitist, but you know what? It really kind of was, but it was fun. It was great fun and stuff like that. And I think to this day, they didn't know who we were. And she's my buddy now, so she's my total buddy because she took care of us. Okay, so she's but that was an extraordinary memory because we didn't belong there, but we got there, and so it was fun.
Very nice, gentlemen. So to cap it off there, again, I want to thank each of you guys for coming on to this special edition of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Before I let you guys go, can you guys each let folks know out there where they can find you?
Honored. Thank you, Brandon. Really appreciate it. Michael, it's a pleasure meeting you. Look forward to catching up with you and meeting up and all sharing in a pancake at the Richard Walker Pancake House very soon, hopefully 2021. Again, thank you. I'm Patrick. You can follow the Nerds of Color at the Nerds of Color pretty much on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, I'm with Quirktastic, and that's at Quirktastic @Quirktastic_CO. And then my own operation, which is the NRW, and that's at New Release Wednesday or at BNRW. That's for your Twitter, Instagram. I'm not very sure. I'm getting old. And for me personally, it's at Temple Far East and at Strange since 1977 because I've been old since 1977.
Join the group. Yeah, I'm at MickelP at MICLPEA. On Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on all the Expanse groups too, because obviously I like this show. So, but let's see, and Friends of Comic Con. That's where most of my stuff is on. On Friends of Comic Con. And thank you, Brandon and Patrick. It was great meeting you. And yes,
Pleasure.
We're gonna meet up. We're gonna meet up next year, and we're gonna have delicious pancakes. I suggest you have the the thick sliced bacon with buttermilk pancakes.
Or the German pancake.
Well, you like the German pancakes. I like the regular pancakes. I'm just down home. I'm country. Okay, I'm sorry.
I had like a massive one last year. It was like almost a pie. It was outrageous.
Isn't that the German pancake though?
It might have been that.
Yeah.
I was with my friend
the apple pancake. Unless you think about the apple one that they have.
Yeah. That's the one.
That one's good too.
I just go with the plain old ordinary buttermilk pancake. Sorry, I
went extreme my first time. I was like, let me go all the way full tilt. That was a little much.
But we got to do that because it's too good and it's just too much fun. And so and I want to introduce you to Tina and stuff like that. So that I think something to look forward to, because we got to also too. Don't forget there is WonderCon. And I think I'm going to skip C2E2. Well, C2E2 and WonderCon are at the same time next year. I think they're going to change that, but they're at the same time next year. So, and I don't know if WonderCon's going to happen or not. I think that's a little iffy right now, but I'm pretty sure San Diego's going to happen next year. I think we'll have stabilized ourselves by then, and we'll be ready to go.
Fingers crossed.
But thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So there you guys have it. Here's another special edition episode of Moves and Shakers Unlimited with SDCC Peeps. I'm your host, Brandon Troy. You can find us on Facebook. Obviously, what you find here that you're watching, you also find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD. You can find us on Instagram, Move and Shakers Unlimited. You can find me at Brandon Troy ENT on Twitter and Brandon Troy _ENT on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching. Be safe out there. See you soon. Bye.